So for today's lesson, this should really be mostly a review from last year, but we're dealing with slopes and linear equations. So the slope of the line, I know you guys know rise over run, and that's essentially what it is. And it's a fraction, or it's a ratio of the vertical change. That's your rise. So it's of the vertical change. It's the change in the y values to the horizontal change. That's your run, or the changes in your x values. So when you want to find the slope of a line and you're given 2 points, remember slope is the letter m. When you're given 2 points, you're given the coordinates x1, y1 and x2, y2. Well, the change in your values is subtraction. And it doesn't matter the order that you go, whether you do y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Sometimes you see the books that'll say, well, the slope formula, still the change in the y's over the change in the x's, but sometimes you might see y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. As long as you're consistent with which point you start from, and the y's are on top, all is good. They do happen to give you this formula for the slope on the Regents, so it's on that reference sheet. So when you want to find the slope, I would suggest that you write the formula. I would substitute in the values for x and y into the formula. Make sure to keep the x and y coordinates in the same order, in the top and in the bottom, and then make sure you simplify. All right, so if double negatives become a positive, and if you've got a fraction that can be simplified, you go ahead and do it. Slope-intercept form is a form that you used a lot last year, and that's just the standard equation of a line. Y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope, and then b is your y-intercept. That's the point where your line crosses the y-axis. You're going to learn a new formula this year. It's the one that I like to use the most, is point slope form. And that's something that you write that can transfer into slope intercept form. Point slope form looks like this: y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. And then what happens here is your slope is still your slope. And then this point y1 and this point x1 come from one of your ordered pairs. You might be given more than one ordered pair to use, but you're just going to pick one. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to put the equations of the line using the point slope form, because that transfers into slope intercept form quite nicely. When you write an equation of a line, given the slope and a point, so you're given one slope and a point, the first thing you want to do is identify your slope. Remember, that's your value of m, and the coordinates of whatever one point they give you, which we're going to call x1, y1. You're going to substitute the values for m, x1, and y1 into your point slope formula. You're going to simplify, and then you're going to write the equation to slope intercept form. So in this case, we want to write the equation of the line that passes through the point 1, 2. That's your x1, y1, and has a slope of 3. That's your m. We're eventually going to graph the line. Well, the slope-intercept form looks like this: y minus y1, or the point slope form to get you in there, equals m x minus x1. Essentially, all that's being changed, or all that's being substituted in for, happens to be your y1, which we know is 2. So I'm going to put my 2 in here. And then your m happens to be the 3. I'm going to put my 3 in here. And then your x1, which happens to be the 1. So that's all that gets dumped in here. And then all you have to do is use the distributive property and solve. So when I do that, I get y minus 2 distribute equals 3x minus 3. Add 2 to both sides, add 2 to both sides. The equation of your line is y equals 3x minus 1. And then you graph it. You begin graphing at -1, your y-intercept, using your slope, which is 3. You're going to go up 3 to the right 1, up 3 to the right 1. Remember, going up and to the right is the same as going down 3 and to the left. And there's the graph of your line. Let's try another one. Write the equation of the line, not lines, of the line that passes through the point -1, 3. There's your x1, there's your y1, and has a slope of -4. Make sure you graph the line. So when you write your point slope form, it's y minus leave some room, equals, leave some room, parentheses, x minus, leave some room. Your y1 is 3, your m is -4, your x1 is -1. Just make sure that the x minus -1 is really x plus 1. So when you do your work, y minus 3, distribute -4x minus 4, add by 3 to both sides, y equals -4x minus 1. Here's the equation of your line, and then you graph it. You begin your graph at the y-intercept -1. Your slope says -4, so you go down 4 to the right 1. Going down and to the right is the same as going up 4 and to the left 1, and there's your line. Okay, you can also write the equation of the line that's given 2 points. So if you're given 2 points, you first have to find the slope. Remember, the formula is the change in the y's over the change in the x's. You want to be able to use the slope in one of those 2 points, and then use the point slope formula. The y minus y1 equals m x minus x1 to the equation of the line in slope intercept form. So you're going to use the point slope to eventually write into slope intercept. Okay, so we're going to find the equation of the line that passes through these 2 particular points. Step 1 says find the slope. Don't forget x1, y1, x2, y2. Your slope is the change in the y's over the change in the x's. So y1 is -3, y2 is 1, x1 is 2, and x2 is -2. When you do the math, -3 minus 1, -4, 2 plus 2, +4, your slope is -1. When I use my point slope form, I have to pick one of those 2 points that they gave me. I don't have to pick the first ordered pair. I could pick the second ordered pair, but I'm just going to go for the first ordered pair right now because it's got a negative and a positive. It's not really a big deal. So I'm going to write the equation of the line, leaving some blanks. Y minus equals x minus. And now I dump in my pieces. So y minus y1, y1 is -3. Slope, we found out to be -1. And then x minus x1, which is 2. I'm going to work on the math here. This really becomes plus a positive. Y plus 3, distribute, -1x plus 2. Subtract 3 on both sides. And the equation is y equals -1x minus 1. And then I graph that line. Begin at -1. My slope is down 1 to the right 1 or up 1 to the left 1. And there's the equation graphed. Just got one more to do, and then you should be good. Write the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. So again, I find my slope, and I have to do my changes in the y's, which would be -13 is y1, 2 is y2, and then -8 is x1, and 4 is x2. When I actually do the math, I get -15 over -12. Double negatives become a positive, and I can divide both of those things by 3, and then I get 5/4 equals my slope. Not a big deal that it's a fraction, okay, it shouldn't matter. So this time, actually, I don't want to use that point for my x1 and y1 because it's got all those negatives in it. I'm actually going to choose 4/2 for my x1 and y1. So the equation of the line looks like this. Y minus equals x minus. I'm going to dump in my y1, which is 2. I'm going to dump in my slope, which is 5/4, and I'm going to dump in my x1, which is 4. When I do the math, y minus 2, distribute 5/4 x, and now this becomes 5/4 times 4 over 1. That's really all you're doing. It becomes -20 over 4, or just -5. And then I need to add 2 to both sides, and then I get the equation. Let me get some extra room here. So then the equation becomes y equals 5/4 x minus 3. If I want to go ahead and graph this, I'm going to begin my graph at -3 on the y-axis. I'm going to go up 5, to the right 4, and I'm going to draw the line. Okay, so you should be all set for your homework. Good luck.